from the Cannes Film Festival. Today's guest was nominated for an Oscar this year and has become one of Hollywood's most talked about rising talents. She's here in Cannes with a social horror movie that examines the malice of men. Let's go and meet the Irish actress, Jessie Buckley. Jessie Buckley, hello.
Hello.
It's been a big year for you, a BAFTA and an Oscar nomination for The Lost Daughter. You're here in Cannes with Alex Garland's Men. What a film. How would you describe it?
There's a wildness to this film. And provocative and punk. A wild punk provocative film is what I would say.
You seem to be attracted to films dealing with some really big questions. The Lost Daughter tackles this taboo subject of women not having a maternal instinct, or some women not having a maternal instinct. This film seems to tackle the evil of men throughout history. What attracts you to these enormous topics?
I guess because they ask me questions. And I don't know, I think they asked me to unlearn things and to learn new things.
But they're true.
Would it just be you staying, or
Excuse me?
Mrs. Marlowe?
No.
Until you give your love, there's nothing more that we can do.
Apple from the garden?
Yeah, it was delicious.
No. Mustn't do that. Forbidden fruit.
Oh, God, sorry,
I'm joking.
Rory Kinnear plays all of the men in the film. Do you think all men are versions of the same one?
No. We're all far too complex. I think we all have everything in us, you know, men and women. I have amazing men in my life. I made this film with amazing men. But I think this script and this story is provoking the kind of archetypes of toxic masculinity within men throughout time, and what are the things that have kind of returned and why do they return. But I don't think this is saying that this is all men. I think this is just an aspect that can appear within men at certain times from pain, really, and from a wound that hasn't learned how to heal itself.
Out of all the men that he plays, which one's your worst one?
Oh, the priest.
He's so gross.
Whenever the priest came on set, it was like a different set. Jeffrey was the best. Jeffers is the funniest. Everybody loved Jeffrey coming to set, but the priest, nobody wanted to hang out with the priest.
In your previous films, Beast, Wild Rose and The Lost Daughter, you play women who are torn between assumed responsibility and their own desires. Even in Men, your husband cannot believe that you'd consider leaving him, and when you say that you want to, he continues to haunt you because of that. Do you think we're free to do what we want, women today?
I think that's something that we have to keep fighting for. I think we all have a fundamental right to choose the life that's right for us. Throughout history, women have been contorted and been submitted into certain shapes that kind of can appeal or placate a situation, but I think we're in an exciting moment now where actually the power within us as women and the power between us as with women and men is shifting, and I'm interested in that narrative, and I think there's always more to grow, you know, nothing is finite.
Have you noticed changes in recent years in the industry as a woman?
Yeah, I mean, I feel very lucky. For some reason, I feel like I've been able to explore a lot of those things from scripts that I've received, which are kind of poking the parameters which we've been allowed to live in for a while. And like, for me, that's my expression, that's my politics. Like, that's where I can actually exercise those things. There have been shifts, but it's never, I still think there's like more, you know.
A man followed me out of the woods. He was stalking me.
What makes you say that?
I saw him twice.
Twice. I don't know if he saw you once.
Alex Garland uses the natural world a lot in his films. You go on, it starts like a lovely walk. It doesn't finish like a lovely walk, but it's very beautiful, the nature we see. And it made me think of the way that city dwellers now want to escape to the countryside after COVID. What was it like to make a movie using nature in this way?
Oh, I loved it. I grew up at the foot of a mountain, so like I'm hungry for nature. So being able to shoot in those locations was so beautiful. And like I really think how Rob Hardy, the cinematographer, and Alex have captured that and used it as a kind of seduction into a sense of horror is so beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen kind of England so kind of delicious. But that's so the kind of clever thing that he does is he kind of hypnotizes you into this sense of horror where you're leaning towards the things that you're most afraid of because of that environment. But yeah, I loved it.
Delicious countryside, but full of weirdos.
Why are you doing this?
Coming up, you have Women Talking with Frances McDormand, Ben Whishaw and Claire Foy. What can you tell us about that?
Well, actually, I kind of felt drawn to doing that film in relation to men. I felt like they were in some way in dialogue with each other thematically, but from very different perspectives. And it was a really intense shoot, but you know, working with those people, working with Sarah Polley, working with women, you know, having this conversation about a patriarchy which was asking them to be smaller and was fascinating. And actually, I think, you know, female friendships and female relationships are as fascinating as men and women relationships, and there's so much complexity within that as well. It was amazing, and like all of those people are so gorgeous. We all had hairy legs, we all wearing socks and sandals, we all went and had margaritas in the evening, but both of those films were kind of, I chose them as dialogue pieces.
You've done lots of films, but also TV series like Fargo and Chernobyl, and theatre with plays like Cabaret, even a video game, I think. Is there one medium that you prefer, or is it the diversity that you like?
Yeah, I like being kind of, I don't know, whatever feels like kind of nourishing, you know, like fat that I can get my teeth into and that feels scary in a way. So I don't really have a medium that I prefer. I'm to be honest, I'm still a bit shocked that I even get to make films. That just wasn't in my peripheral growing up. Like, people in Hollywood made films. But I love the community of it. Like, you just meet so many interesting people who are expressing and exploring and asking things, and are artists and are kind of writers, and I've made so many amazing friends from this, and I feel like I've grown up as a woman in a way that I don't know how lucky I would be to be able to do that in any other kind of medium. Like it's a family for me, so I feel lucky to be doing any of it.
Is it your first time in Cannes?
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
It's very glamorous.
It's not hairy legs, socks and sandals anyway.
No, although you don't know what's underneath here, so. You always hear the word Cannes kind of growing up. It feels like this kind of far off, distant, utopian land where other people go to. It's such a privilege to be able to come here and bring a film, and it to be a director's fortnight, and you know, to be around people that whose films you've loved, and you can like jump into the sea and have a lovely glass of red wine at the end. I mean, it's nice. I'm having a nice time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.